Alrighty, guys, gals, non-binary pals, welcome back to the channel. Thank you so much for clicking on today's video. Today we're going to be talking about everyone's favorite doctor, maybe. Good old Dr. Phil. He just posted a video on YouTube about, it's a full episode of his show, and it's called The Psychological Weight of Obesity. So this episode talks a lot about, obviously, obesity, but they also kind of show the other side of people that are more health at every size. It's just a really interesting episode that when I saw it, I was like, I definitely have to talk about this. So in the episode, they actually have quite a few people that they kind of feature. So we're not going to be going super in-depth into everyone just because there's one part of the video that is really, really interesting to me. But the first person that they show is Amanda, who is actually on Family by the Ton, who, if you're familiar with that show, my friend Casey, who's been on the channel before, he was also on that show. And fun fact is, it was called Family by the Ton, but they actually weren't a family. But they show Amanda, who was on the show, that lost 500 pounds, and they kind of share her story again to kind of build up a lot of like what they're going to be talking about in this video.
Well, Amanda says she used to believe you could be healthy at any size until she experienced a life-threatening wake-up call.
I was almost 800 pounds. You are lucky to be able to stand up long enough to walk to the bathroom. Telling people that you can be 500 pounds and be healthy is dangerous. It's irresponsible.
With Amanda, basically what they kind of, the story they're telling is that Amanda used to be health at every size. She used to believe that, you know, no matter what size you are, you can be healthy. And then obviously her weight got out of control, and she was at a crossroads where she had to lose the weight, so she lost the 500 pounds. Again, it's an incredible story, and she's done an amazing job, but we're just not going to be focusing on that in this video. This next part of the video is the thing that I really want to focus on because they have like quite a few people on stage, and a lot of them have differing opinions. So the first person that they bring on stage is actually a doctor. His name is Dr. Michael Gorin. He apparently like wrote a book about sugar and obesity, and he's also like from USC, which is a pretty renowned school, I guess. But that's the first person that they bring on.
Probably too much focus on just weight. I mean, obesity is defined as an excess body weight, but it's to the point at which it affects chronic disease like type 2 diabetes, heart disease. So we really have to think about where the body is storing fat. If fat begins to infiltrate into the liver, which is a relatively new condition called non-alcoholic fatty liver disease, then it can affect health.
Now, the next two people that are brought in, I know there's a lot of people, but I don't know how in any other way to really set this up because there's just so many people that are on stage. So the next person is a woman named Abby, and she kind of, her whole thing is that she's like unapologetically fat. So basically she is the opposite end of the spectrum, right? Like, I'm happy being fat. So she's like the health at every size kind of person, and she's the one that's kind of more or less against what a lot of the other people on stage are saying.
I've always been a big person. I struggled with my weight since my childhood. At the age of 14, I was about 200 pounds. I had this personal trainer that was not very nice. They would weigh me, so I would make myself puke before every session so that I weighed less on the scale. That really messed with me as a kid. I did lose weight. I probably lost over 100 pounds, and I was 200, 250, but it didn't solve any of my problems.
And then next, they bring on Brooke Burke, who is basically, she's like a fitness influencer. She's a pretty popular one that works with a lot of women, just a lot of people to lose weight. And she has a really interesting story that she kind of shares on stage where she had a brother that actually ended up passing away, she says, because of his weight. And he was apparently like over 500 pounds, and that happened pretty recently. And so that's why I assume they have her on the show, because she has, you know, such a close relationship to this whole thing.
I lost my brother this summer, my younger brother. He died of obesity in his late 40s, died in his sleep, had no pre-existing medical conditions. My family is still not talking about it.
When they bring Abby on, now first off, they do the Dr. Phil thing where they like make like a pre-roll kind of video. And I don't know, if I was Abby, I would be like, I'm not filming it the way that you want to film it, because they really make her look like super sassy and like mean.
I've always been a big person, and we're taught that being fat is bad. That's just wrong, because plus size people shouldn't be ignored. I am an unapologetic fat girl, and you can take it or leave it.
I don't know if she wants to come across that way or like she was tricked into coming across that way, but the way I watch it, I was like, the way that you're coming on the show is like you are the villain of the show, which again, that's how these shows are made. But basically she kind of tells her story. They play one of her TikToks, I think, where she's kind of talking about her story. So her whole story very basically is that she was overweight her whole life, which I can relate to. She ended up losing quite a bit of weight at one point because she was working with a personal trainer that ended up saying like, you know, if you don't lose this weight, no one's gonna love you and you're disgusting and you're gross. And she talks about how she ended up doing like she was, you know, making herself throw up before she would weigh in because she wanted to be at a lower weight. All of these things, right? All of that I totally get, right? So like it's very obvious. I understand why she has the stance that she has on health at every size, because that is a story that you hear a lot when people are on that side of the spectrum, right? On the health at every size spectrum, is that it's like, I tried to lose weight or I was successful in losing weight, but the way that I did it was really, really unhealthy and it was obviously not sustainable. And so then it seems like a lot of people, when that's the road they went down, their brain starts to say, well, then it's impossible to lose weight. She brings up statistics, the one we've all heard a million times, 95% of diets fail.
My entire life was surrounded around weight loss, and it really developed an unhealthy relationship with not only exercising. I was afraid of exercise because I thought it was a punishment, and I was afraid of eating.
We've all heard that. There are many people that are much smarter than me that say that that statistic is really not as accurate as people like to claim that it is. But again, I understand why she would think the way that she does, right? Because if you have gone down that path that she has gone and you've experienced that life that she has experienced, of course, you're going to be jaded, and it seems like that's kind of where she is. Next in the video, Brooke kind of tells her story, which I already told a little bit before, so it's really not that much to go over. But then they go to the doctor, and he talks about something that I think is really interesting, and it's actually kind of nice to hear from a doctor, because a lot of times you just hear doctors being like, you just need to eat less, and that's how you lose weight, right? He talks about how, yes, genetics play a little bit into maybe why you can, like, being able to get obese, right? So there's a difference between, oh, my genetics made it so I'm obese versus my genetics make it so it is possible for me to get obese, right? There's a difference there. But he also talks about the importance of environmental factors, you know, where you live, the amount of money you make, all of the other things that go into being obese. Where you live, are you walking a lot? Are you not walking a lot? Are you working a job that you're sitting all day? Are you working a job where you're physically, you know, doing labor all day, right? All of those things really go into obesity. So I actually am really happy that he brings this up, because again, it's something that I feel like just not that many people talk about.
The understanding currently is that it's more to do with environmental triggers, the food environment, physical activity, even things like air pollution and chemical contaminants in the environment that are endocrine disruptors and promote obesity. So genetic factors are very, actually small contribution overall.
So now in the episode, it kind of turns left a little bit. It makes a little bit of a shift. I was like, what the heck? So they bring on another woman. Her name is Jenny, and she formerly was a counselor. Her whole story is that she is currently very, very large, and she is like worried about her weight causing serious issues in her life.
My entire life, I've been what would be considered obese. Today, I weigh almost 500 pounds. I feel like I'm a prisoner inside my own body.
At this point, I'm basically disabled because of my weight. I can't hardly walk. I can go about 10 steps, and then my legs just give out. Most of my life, I'm confined to my bed. It's the only place where I can sit in a position that's comfortable, that doesn't cause pain.
So they do the whole, like, go to her house and follow her around and watch her try and walk and watch her sit and all this stuff, right? Like, very reminiscent of, like, my 600-pound life kind of episodes. But they bring her on stage. So now there's all of these people on stage. And, I mean, it just gets chef's kiss. This interaction here with everyone on stage is the reason I wanted to make this video, because it is literally... it is like the YouTube comment sections of my videos in a video. That's what it seems like. It's like this girl that is, you know, body positive, health at every size type of person. And then we have the other side of the spectrum, who is someone that is struggling with their weight. And they're like, yo, this weight is causing me serious issues, right? And it is just so interesting to look at and to watch.
It's just slowly things just started going away until there was nothing left. And then the bigger I got, the worse the mental health got.
You get so far from where you want to be that it looks insurmountable. It's like, I'm so far gone now, there's no way I can ever get back, and you just give up.
But I also think it's important that we don't paint overweight people as these pathetic cases that need to be fixed and that you can't live life and that you're miserable. Because I don't feel miserable. I can do everything else my friends can do.
And you say, I'm not miserable. She is.
And I totally
You can't
get that.
turn a
I'm
deaf
sorry.
ear to that because you're defensive about people saying that about you. You have to be empathetic with her because she is that way right now. And because you aren't doesn't mean you turn a deaf ear to her.
I really like this portion of the video where Dr. Phil is talking to Jenny, and he kind of brings up, and this is what she kind of said, is that she, you know, gained weight over the years, but then she eventually got to a point where she felt like she was too far gone, basically is what they talk about. And I can relate to that so much, and I know that there's people watching this video that can relate to that, because I know what it feels like to feel like it's too much. It's insurmountable. There's nothing I can do about it. And this really is one of, I think, it is a really dangerous way to start thinking, because it just lends you to just really go into these really bad habits because you think there's nothing I can do. And this is why it's so important to my videos and the stuff that I make, is that I always say start slow. Like, if you start making those changes, you will start to see results, and it'll start to motivate you to change a little bit more, instead of thinking my goal is to lose 200 pounds, right? And the only thing in your head is 200 pounds. So I am only successful when 200 pounds is gone, right? That is a bad way to think, because that's a long journey, right? So instead, just be like, I need to lose 1 pound. I need to start. I need to cut out soda. I need to cut out this, right? That's so important. So I really think that I'm just really glad that they brought that up in this episode. Now, at this point in the video, I was thinking, man, Abby must be sitting here thinking, what happened? How did this turn into, it's basically like an intervention almost, where they're like, at the end of the video, I'm going to kind of spoil it, but at the end of the video, they're like, we're going to help you lose weight. That, you know, they say that to Jenny, we're going to give you all these things and blah, 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 right?
You're ready? I would like to help you to develop small, immediate goals. I'd like to help you develop personal promises and encourage you to help find your faith that you can keep those promises because you're worthy, and we can do it.
Have you had a better offer lately?
No.
I suspect not. You'll keep us posted, right?
I will.
So it literally turns into like intervention weight loss episode. And so I can only imagine that Abby is sitting there like, what happened, right? So she kind of goes in and she's like, hey, I think that it's important that we kind of talk about how, you know, if you're overweight, you're not, you know, worthless, and that you are beautiful and that you deserve life and yada, 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 right? So she kind of goes into that, and it's just really, really interesting to see the interactions between everyone at this moment. My thoughts on the whole situation here is, one, this actually is a pretty interesting episode, and so I think that they did a pretty good job, except for the amount of freaking commercials in this video is ridiculous, but that's besides the point. The thing that's really important is that Abby's situation is completely real, and I understand where she is coming from, but also Jenny's situation is also very real, and I can empathize and understand where she is coming from. One of the, in my personal opinion, biggest issues with body positivity, health at every size, whatever you want to call it, is that it seems that it is very focused on a specific person that is very similar to Abby. Their you know, where they are in the world, their age, their sex, it seems like, as well, their gender, all of that stuff. It seems like it's very particular as to who it's targeted for. And that's great. I'm not saying that that's a problem, but the issue that I have is it seems like a lot of people that are in that bubble, that are in that sphere, really struggle with understanding someone that might not be in the same position, right? Someone like Jenny, who is in her 40s now, that is, her weight is causing her issues, and there's no, oh, it's society's view on her weight that's, no. Her weight is causing her issues, and that's a problem, right? That is a problem, and losing weight will solve a lot of that. Is it going to fix everything in her life? No, and I would never claim that. But losing weight absolutely would make her life better, and that is not fat phobic. That is not a problem. That is the truth of the matter. Now, me saying that, I'm not negating how Abby feels, how she feels in her life, the experiences that she's gone through, the fact that she went through, throwing up after, before she would weigh herself. Like, all of that stuff is traumatizing, and it is a problem, and it's good that she is trying to solve that for herself. But that doesn't mean that she understands what everyone else is going through. And the same thing with Jenny. Like, just because she thinks that she needs to lose weight doesn't mean that she should be like, anyone that doesn't want to lose weight is going to die early, right? I don't like that narrative. And so, again, that's why I'm always kind of in the middle on this stuff. But it was a really interesting episode, and I feel like they did for as good as Dr. Phil can do, because a lot of it's very sensationalized, they did a pretty good job of sharing each side of the argument, I guess. Again, those are just my thoughts. The whole video will be linked in the description, so you can watch it. Again, I always have to cut these up because copyright and stuff, so hopefully it kind of makes sense. But I am genuinely curious what y'all think about this. What are your thoughts? If you want to leave a comment down in the comment section, I always appreciate it. Again, if you enjoy the video, subscribe always helps the channel. Comments, likes, all of that stuff really do help, so I appreciate it. But again, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.